ॐ अखण्डमण्डलाकारम् व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। यह श्रुतिवेद कहता गुरु बिना ज्ञान कैसा। यह श्रुतिवेद कहता गुरु बिना ज्ञान कैसा। ज्ञान बिना मुक्ति कैसी आए तेरे ध्यान में। गुरु ब्रह्म रूप जानो शिव का स्वरूप मानो। गुरु ब्रह्म रूप जानो शिव का स्वरूप मानो। गुरु के समान नाही दूसरा जहान में। गुरु के समान नाही दूसरा जहान में। गुरु ब्रह्म रूप जानो शिव का स्वरूप मानो। कुंडली कुमारी कुटिले चंडी चराचर सवित्री चामुंडे। गुणिनी गुहारिणि गुह्ये गुरुमूर्ते त्वां नमामि कामाक्षी। गुरुमूर्ते त्वां नमामि कामाक्षी। All glories to the Guru who rubbed off the kajal of ignorance and gave the new kajal of his kripa, his grace. And that kajal of ignorance is the cause of the skewed perspective or incomplete drishti, incomplete perspective of the world. So all glories to him who has removed this kajal of ignorance and most lovingly has placed the kajal of his refuge, his grace. Guru Kripa Anjan पायो मेरे भाई। राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। गुरु कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई। राम बिना कछु जानत नाही। Guru Kripa Anjana. All glories to the Guru, all glories. So, by the grace of the Master, we have started our satsangs on Tripura Rahasya very carefully after cleaning the vessel of all the preconceived ideas, the mental constructs, the emotional hurt. He filled it with devotion and knowledge. He is filling it with devotion and knowledge. Only a genius like him can make this happen. Narayan, Namostate. So we saw in the last Tripura Rahasya Satsang how the conversation between Ashtavakra and King Janak opened up. How King Janak gave him clear-cut instructions, gave him knowledge, direct knowledge, that is, to move from a state of tatastha jnana, which is intellectual knowledge, to experiential knowledge. So this chapter is also a continuation, but this chapter is mostly a big review of everything that a sadhak needs to do. And remember, this story is being narrated by Dattatreya Maharaj to Parshuram. So now in last satsang was all about Raja Janak speaking mostly. Here Ashtavakra again has some more questions for him. So Dattatreya says to Parshuram that now I will tell you what further questions Ashtavakra posed after listening to Janak. Listen attentively, which means if you are multitasking, see if you can sit down in one place and listen. So the first question Ashtavakra asked is, you said there are momentary samadhis here and there. Describe to me, what are these momentary samadhis? And when do these highest states of realization occur? So then Raja Janak goes on to give many, many examples. He talks about how in daily life we experience those states of samadhi. And we also discussed last time that let us not be at the mercy of these things just happening. Let us enter there willfully. Because we know how to enter there. It's a state of witness. It's a state of complete awareness, yet no conceptualization by the mind. So instead of these things just happening by chance, willfully enter that state. Enter that state wherein you breathe out, you center yourself. In that center, you're fully aware, whether your eyes are open or whether your eyes are closed. There is no thinking. Thinking is nothing but conceptualization. There is no conceptualization that, oh, this is this is that, this is this. None of that. You're just aware of everything around you, yet you're not activating your mind to start defining that this is this and this is that. So we will go through a few of those, and then you're free to go and read the chapter and see what are those states. In those states also you can be extra aware, but instead of being at the mercy of these things happening somewhere, go there willfully as many times as you can. Instead of calling out to the mother, instead of being lazy and saying, Mother, you come to me, why don't we visit the mother? So go there as many times as you can. Some of the examples are when a lover embraces the beloved for the first time, the lover forgets everything. There is no worries of the future. There is no worries of the past. There is no conceptualization. Where am I? What kind of place is this? What's happening around me? He's aware. He is aware of everything. But the awareness is not becoming concepts, which means if you shake him up and ask him, hey, do you know where you're at? Do you know what your name is? He's well aware of everything, but he's not allowing the ocean to come up into waves of concepts. He holds the entire awareness of everything around within him. Yet the mind is not activated to conceptualize. And then he says other examples are when a sadhak suddenly fulfills a burning desire. At that moment, there is a certain quietude, there is a certain silence. He is well aware of everything, yet there is no conceptualization. For example, and understand this concept really clearly, that wherever you are sitting, your eyes are open, you are well aware where you're sitting, you are aware what's in front of you, you are aware how you're listening. You see, as I'm talking, all these concepts are coming to the surface. Okay, I'm sitting in my house, I'm in this room, this is in front of me. That's conceptualization. Witness is you're just aware, yet the mind is quiet. There is no conceptualization. Then he gives another example saying a person is walking cheerfully and unafraid, and all of a sudden a tiger comes in front of him. Stabdho bhavati. He becomes still. He is aware, yet the conceptualizing mind is totally quiet and he is fully aware. Or if you're speeding, you just want to get to some place 5 minutes sooner, now you're speeding. You're fully aware, and there are no concepts like, oh, there's another white car going, this tree, that tree, none of that. You're just speeding. I mean, of course, he doesn't give the example, but I'm just saying. Or if someone suddenly finds out that their healthy son just died because of some accident, so they become stubbed. They experience that state of awareness. They are aware. There are no reactions. There is no conceptualization. And then he says there are also moments of transition between waking, dreaming, and sleeping. These moments are experiential and similar to samadhi. Okay, so my only message here is instead of depending on these moments to happen, we can all enter there willfully. We can all enter there willfully. If you are not able to do what I'm suggesting here, saying be a witness, be aware, yet do not conceptualize, keep trying. The grace of the self will dawn from within, because it is the silent witness within, the Atman, that watches all the efforts. Based on the efforts, the Atman blesses. And then he said, remember Ashtavakra. Those who have profound knowledge of Samadhi are in Samadhi all the time. And that's what we saw yesterday, not yesterday, last time, Nirvikalpa and Savikalp Samadhi. Savikalp Samadhi is you are in the world of names and forms, yet you are aware and not conceptualizing. Savikalp Samadhi, for a long time, eventually leads to Nirvikalp Samadhi, wherein you're just aware. You are just aware and there is no conceptualization. It's like a river saying, now I'm going towards the ocean. One by one, step by step, I'm walking towards the ocean. Now the river is proclaiming, I'm going to the ocean, I'm going to the ocean, I'm going to the ocean. That's all part of the Savikalpa Samadhi. The river is aware of its own individual existence. It's also aware that it's walking towards the ocean. As soon as the river merges, nothing is remaining to proclaim, now I have become the ocean. That is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. A yogi immerses in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and when he emerges out of that Nirvikalpa Samadhi, he doesn't just lose the experience of Samadhi. He continues to act in the world, but in the Savikalpa Samadhi. So engaging in the world, yet remaining aware of the inner reality is Savikalpa Samadhi. Completely immersing yourself, dhyana dhyatra dhyeya rupa. When the Triputi becomes one, dhyana dhyatra dhyeya, that is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So hearing this, Ashtavakra asked, O king, if in worldly activities everyone experiences moments of samadhi, then how does the world continue to function? Basically, Ashtavakra's question is, if people are experiencing samadhi, why are they still getting engaged in all these worldly activities? Why is the world continuing to function? Because, once you experience samadhi, you have the highest truth, you have the knowledge. So then, Ashtavakra has good questions. He's like, if people are experiencing samadhi, why are they not attaining the highest knowledge? The moments of samadhi are experienced in the waking state, but they are not able to lead a seeker to the real state of samadhi. The highest state of samadhi is the direct experience of pure consciousness. That's what we said. Direct experience of pure consciousness without conceptualization is samadhi, which means whatever it is that you're seeing, you're not conceptualizing, you're just being a witness. And if people are experiencing these periods of samadhi, these momentary samadhis during the day, how are they able to live their worldly life and conduct their worldly duties? After attaining the highest state of samadhi, ignorance is completely dispelled. Such a state of samadhi liberates and bestows pure knowledge. That state occurs so naturally in the instant between two thoughts. So why are people still in bondage? O Lord of Kings, please help me resolve this doubt. So Ashtavakra is basically looking out for people like us who just, we are getting moments of samadhi. Why don't we have pure knowledge? He's asking for us on our behalf because we are too ashamed to ask these questions. But look at Ashtavakra. He's asking. This samadhi occurs naturally. It occurs naturally in the instant between two thoughts. Let's say the first thought is this is a vigraha. Second thought is that is a door. Between these two thoughts, there is a space. In that space, there is no thoughts. Yet I'm aware. So that's a state of samadhi. So he's saying this is happening naturally between thought to thought. Why are people still in bondage then? Tell me. At this question, the king replied, Then, O Brahmin, listen, I'll tell you the deepest of secrets. Okay? It is only the darkness of ignorance because of which the world continues to function. Imagine if everyone reaches a state, nothing to do, nowhere to go. No dualities, no pleasant and painful experiences. Like Swami says, that movie is going to be so boring. If everyone's okay, everyone's nice, there is no climax, there is no some twist to the story. No one's going to watch that story. He says removal of ignorance is possible only through pure knowledge. To remove ignorance, one needs to have profound knowledge, which can be brought into use during the waking state. That knowledge, which helps one to attain the highest state of samadhi, will not be helpful in conducting worldly duties. So, what Raja Janak here is saying, that Ashtavakra, when you look at the ocean, there are many waves on top, and then there is this deep ocean in the bottom. If you look at some videos of divers, you will see just before they're about to dive, the surface is choppy. The ship is moving haywire, and then they dive. And then, the camera takes them from very choppy waters to deep, still waters. It is the very presence of the deep, still water that allows the choppy waters to be present. Similarly, here, King Janak is saying that just as the surface of the mirror is the foundation for all the images to occur, the true self, the pure knowledge, the pure consciousness, the awareness is the foundation upon which all these worldly activities, events happen. All these worldly activities keep changing, but the foundation which supports all the worldly activities remains unchanging. It's the self-existent reality, ever present. And then he says, to reach that state of still waters, the deeper ocean, to be able to see, to be able to experience that pure consciousness, which is Parachiti, or the Divine Mother, or that state of awareness with no conceptualization, one has to become desireless. One easy meaning, literal meaning is have no desires. But see, the true meaning of desirelessness is a desire arises because of a sense of separation. Will the deep ocean have any desire? The deep waters, it is complete, it is whole. It is only when a wave rises, the I creates a desire. I want to go back to the ocean. I want to be the still water. That wave is already nothing but water, the same water that's deep inside. Or the I could be like, I want to be higher. I want to be lower. Why am I this way? Why am I that way? That is just the topmost meaning. That's what we understand. If one is complete, what desire can one have? And then he goes on to say that knowledge which arises from desirelessness is pure knowledge. Because the first desire is I. All desires are nothing but thoughts. The very first thought is I. And then you can just have any kind of thought. Depending upon what kind of label you want to slap onto the I, you can have any kind of desires. But the first desire is I. That state in which one experiences any desire is the lower state. To realize the value of ignorance and its currents and cross currents is also a kind of knowledge, and that is seen in cause and effect and in all forms of the world. So basically, what Raja Janak is saying is, you're getting lost in the images, Ashtavakra, and you're forgetting that the very presence of the surface of the mirror is the reason you're able to see the images. Not being able to realize the self-existent reality is the cause of your ignorance. Self-existent reality is complete in itself because it has no limitations. It is beyond time, space, and causation. Considering your body, your senses, and your mind to be the self is also a function of ignorance. Again, going back to the ocean and the wave has a particular form. The wave has particular lifetime. It might stay for, I don't know, 3, 4 seconds. So it has a particular form. It has certain time limit attached to it. And when it arises from the ocean, let's say the water is choppy, you'll have certain types of waves. If there is a tsunami, you'll have a certain type of wave. Similarly, the body is also a form. If you consider the wave and the body to be the same, you will see just like a body has risen, the wave has risen. The wave is completely made up of water. The body is completely made up of light of the self. The mind is completely made up of light of the self. The senses are permeated by the light of the self. But is the mind the self? The senses the self? The body the self? The self permeates the body. The self permeates the mind. The self permeates the senses to perform worldly actions. None of that is the self, though. The self is just self-existent reality. Unless this ignorance is dispelled, worldly bondage is never broken. And then he says, knowledge again is of two types, direct and indirect. Indirect is received from scriptures and instructions by the preceptor. These are not means for attaining final liberation. Indirect knowledge is accepted merely on belief. It cannot bestow freedom. Direct knowledge dawns when samadhi is attained. The problem is the mind is so used to conceptualization. To not conceptualize, to not think is something the mind needs practice. It can attain that state. It definitely can, but it needs practice. It starts with momentary practices, short-term practices, 1 minute, few seconds, 30 seconds of no conceptualization. And that's the basis of wall gazing in Zen. So in wall gazing, you sit and you just stare at the wall. You don't conceptualize because there is nothing to conceptualize. You just stare at the wall, try not to allow any thoughts. So this non-conceptualizing technique has to be taught, has to be practiced by the mind. Only then, slowly that period of being aware, yet the mind being inactive, slowly that span increases. And according to Swami, I think he said 7 minutes, you will slip into samadhi. So it needs to be practiced. And he says when samadhi is attained, then one attains pure knowledge. The same knowledge is able to liberate the aspirant. Ignorant people experience moments of samadhi, but they are not liberating because it's like, let's say someone has never seen a ruby. They have no idea what a ruby looks like. But now they have heard that this ruby is a really precious stone and they need to go get it. And they are sent into a treasure. So just pick up the one ruby and come back. There's a ruby there, go pick up the ruby. He's going there, he's touching that ruby many, many times. He's looking at the ruby many, many times. But he has no clue that's what he's looking for. So Raja Janak is saying it's something like that. If you don't know that it is samadhi, you're not going to benefit from it because you are covered by the veil of inertia. You just don't know. Tamas. Similarly, ignorant people, without knowing what samadhi is, are deprived of its fruit. Similarly, O Brahmin, there are different states of samadhi. Yet, the ignorant, for lack of knowledge and the desire to know, are not aware of their real self. Therefore, all these momentary states of samadhi are of no value if there is no knowledge of them. Children are pure and their minds and hearts remain unpolluted with worldly desires and thoughts. Though they seem to be in a state of samadhi, yet such a state does not liberate them from the bondage of ignorance because they are unaware. If you are experiencing samadhi, but you don't have the knowledge that this is samadhi, it's of no use. Then he goes on to say, the first step of samadhi is called savikalpa samadhi. This is what we describe. The river is proclaiming, I'm going to the ocean. I'm moving towards the ocean because the eye is still there. All the river sees is the ocean. And it's proclaiming, I'm moving towards the ocean, I'm moving towards the ocean. But as soon as the river joins the ocean, there is no more river left to proclaim. That is Nirvikalp Samadhi. Now, here comes the most important part. When sincere efforts to know the truth are made in many lifetimes, the pure self blesses the seeker from within, and then he is inspired to attain liberation. Otherwise, for millions of years, such an opportunity does not arise. You see, we all want grace, right? We even go to the point of questioning, am I worthy of grace? If you have any doubts that you're not worthy, start putting in more efforts. Start putting in more efforts because you see here it's saying when sincere efforts are made to know the truth, whatever little bit you can, you have to make the efforts. In many lifetimes, the pure self blesses the seeker. You want blessings? The self alone can bless. Either the self from within can bless or the self from without can bless. The self without is the Guru. He is your own self manifested outside. Otherwise, for millions of years, such an opportunity does not arise. Manushyatvam, Mumukshatvam, Sadguru Sangatya. These are the three that Adiguru Shankaracharya in Vivek Chudamani says they're Ati Durlabh. Extremely difficult to find this combination of three things. Manushyatvam, human life. Mumukshatvam, burning desire to know the truth. And third, Satguru Sangatya, the refuge of a Sadguru, of a true Guru who is established in the highest truth. Among all the different aspects of the creation, Char and Achar, Sthavar and Jangam, the things that don't move, the things that move, the things that have Chaitanya, the things that don't have Chaitanya. Amongst all this, he says, to be born in the things that can move is higher. From among those things that have higher Chaitanya, Chaitana, or consciousness is higher, is even better. And amongst everyone, human beings are endowed with that Chaitana to be able to seek higher planes of existence, to know the highest truth. So to be born in the world endowed with intelligence is very difficult. And to have one pointed inward mind is the most difficult of all. Millions of people motivated by worldly desire are engaged in the world, caught in its charms and temptations. The learned ones, they're proud of their learning and have a desire for heavenly joys. A fortunate few who are endowed with the faculty of discrimination still do not know how to purify their minds and hearts. You see, among people, he's saying now he has come to the point saying people are at the highest state because they have the potential to realize the highest state. But among those people, some are not some, most of them are just engaged in the world. Some even get to the point of learning the scriptures and Vedas, but they just are proud of their learning and have a desire for heavenly fruits, heavenly joys. A fortunate few even have the discrimination. My God, this is not real, this is real. Yet they do not know how to purify their minds and hearts. That highest state of consciousness is veiled by Maya, Vishnu Maya Vilasini. Mother alone as Maya, as Vishnu Maya, covers the highest truth. Just like a treasure is hidden deep, deep, deep inside, Mother protects. Mother protects that knowledge. How can those who are blinded by Maya attain moksha? That is why such ignorant ones can never attain samadhi, the highest state. There are a few fortunate ones who, though they understand the importance of liberation, get so caught up in the whirlpool of their own emotions that they lose that opportunity. Like one who possesses a gem, throws it away without knowing its worth. You see, then these are all, he is just describing the various people. He's saying some unfortunate ones, sorry, I may have read it fortunate, some unfortunate ones, they know the importance of liberation. They know that every birth they have to come. They have to come, go through the schooling, go through the rat race, get a job, all of this. They've seen their own life. They know that if they don't work hard this lifetime, they'll have to come all over again, do all of it all over again. Yet, even after knowing that, they are caught up in the whirlpool of their own emotions and lose that opportunity. Oh, how powerful is the veil of Maya! That someone who has the ability to attain samadhi but are lost in the jungle of their thinking. You see, from worldly affairs, slowly he's starting to come within. Some are just ignorant and want to just enjoy the world. Some know that there is a higher truth but don't know how to purify themselves. Some know they need to purify themselves, they need to attain liberation, but they're stuck in their emotions. And then, yet again, there are some who are stuck in the jungle of their thinking. This is all, if you see, this is all Depression to Devotion and Mind and Divine series. That's what we talked about. Don't get caught up in the emotions. How to not get caught up in the worldly affairs. How to not get caught up in your own thinking, in the jungle of your thinking. Those fortunate ones by whose devotion it starts, definitely starts with devotion. You are devoted to truth. You are devoted to seeking the truth. You are devoted to finding the truth. That's devotion. Devotion just doesn't mean I'm sitting here chanting mother's names. That's an expression of my devotion. But those who are devoted to discover the truth, those who are devoted to do whatever it takes to get to their truth, those fortunate ones by whose devotion the self is pleased are free from the bondage of Maya and gifted with scriptural knowledge and faith. You see, if you're Hindi word is tapana. Tapana is if you're burning for the Divine Mother, if you're burning for truth, the self is pleased. And when the self is pleased, you're free from the bondage of Maya and you're gifted with scriptural knowledge and faith. Such rare ones attain the highest state of enlightenment. They are endowed with non attachment, a burning desire to attain the self, an immense faith. The seeker seeks the refuge of an adept or the guru, and by receiving the knowledge of liberation, attains freedom. This knowledge is direct knowledge. So you see, the path to direct knowledge is first devotion to truth. That truth could be in the form of Sagunapasana, either Divine Mother, Sri Hari, or Guru. Devotion to the self is the first step. When the self is pleased by the devotion, and that devotion has to be nishkam, nishkapat, with no hidden agenda, then the self blesses with scriptural knowledge and faith. Then you, with non-attachment and a burning desire to attain Atman and immense faith, the seeker seeks the refuge of the Guru. And by receiving knowledge of liberation, attains freedom. This knowledge is direct knowledge. This is the process. So don't get caught up in worldly activities and worldly affairs. We all know how to purify ourselves, our hearts and our mind. If you have forgotten, go back and listen to Mind and Divine and Depression to Devotion. One is about purifying the mind, the other one is about purifying the heart. After doing that, continue practicing non-attachment. Keep that burning desire to attain the Divine Mother alive. Have immense faith and seek the refuge of the Master. This knowledge is direct knowledge, the knowledge that is received through this path by the grace of the Guru. And this also shows how to prepare ourselves to receive knowledge from the Guru. The only one self-existent reality is subject to contemplation, and by right logic, one should come to understand and dispel all doubts. In this way, with full determination and firm faith, one should continue contemplating on Atman until he has realized it. One should make full effort. These momentary samadhis, we just have to keep practicing more and more and more and more. Instead of doing it for like 40 minutes in the morning, 40 minutes in the evening, wherein 39.40, we're just dilly-dallying here and there. Practice it just for a few seconds, few seconds, many times. I am the pure self. One who contemplates with this single desire through meditation attains the highest state and dispels the darkness of ignorance. Do not doubt it. I am the pure self. Nirvikalp Samadhi is attained through deep state of meditation. Then one constantly remembers I am that. Coming out of Nirvikalp Samadhi, the yogi never forgets I am that. Outwardly, he seems to be talking to people, he seems to be laughing, he seems to be engaging with the world. But inside, asangoham, asangoham, Asangoham punah punah Satchidananda Rupoham Ahamevahamavyayam. So outwardly he may be engaged in talking, in laughing, in giving discourses, in having private meetings, but inside he is asangoham, asangoham, detached. Asangoham punah punah. Not this moment, not next moment, any moment. Punah punah. I'm detached. Satchidananda Rupoham. I am that Satchidananda. Ahameva Vahamavyayam. I alone am. He proclaims from within. I alone am. Ahameva Ahamavyayam. And I'm indestructible. I alone am. I am the self-existent Absolute One. Such a determination will help one to receive the knowledge that destroys the very root of ignorance and its offshoots. Remember, we were talking about the stories we tell. Instead of telling all kinds of stories, pick up, because we all want some story to tell, right? If you say, Anu, you're telling us not to tell stories, go give us something to hold on to. I am the pure self. I am the self-existent Absolute One. Asangoham, 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 punah punah. Satchidananda Rupoham, Ahameva Mahavyayam. Nitya Shuddhoham, Nitya Buddhoham, Ahameva Ahamavyayam. In the highest state of meditation, the mind does not reason or desire. It does not reason because the conceptualization is completely quietened. It does not desire because there is no I. In that highest state of meditation is when the river has merged. River is no more available to proclaim, I am moving towards the ocean. I am going to join the ocean. All that is Savikalp Samadhi. There are various avenues of knowledge, but the highest state of knowledge is all-pervading pure consciousness. By not experiencing anything other than Atman, all thoughts are removed. By not experiencing anything other than Atman. Continuously keep reminding yourself, all I see is the light of myself. All these people I see, all their actions, everything that's bothering me, this is all transient, impermanent. It is the light of myself that enlivens this entire scene. All this is my own light. All this is the light of the self. At this disappearance of the picture, the background remains crystal clear. Therefore, completely removing the pictures causes clarity. So he's saying, as you engage in the world, keep reminding yourself, this is the self, this is the light of the self. All these scenes will keep changing. The self alone is the real. That self is me. I am that pure self. I am that pure self. You want a story? Start telling yourself the story. When free from desire, the mind becomes liberated. Therefore, renunciation of the seeds of all desires leads to the attainment of self. The seed is I. Those who have purified their buddhi, their intellect, can realize the self in a moment's time. Here, Raja Janak starts explaining there are three types of seekers. One, he says the first type of, or the first and the finest type of seeker is the one whose intellect is purified. And just listening to the listening to the instructions, he starts experiencing those instructions. That's the finest state of seekers. And he says that there was a time when I was sleeping, a moonlit summer night. I was sitting in a green garden on a costly, well decorated seat. My beloved was embracing me, and my eyes were drowsy with wine. So, in that scene, during that time, I heard sweet words coming down from heaven. Those words were full of praise of one absolute without a second. The same moment I realized the highest state. Wouldn't that be nice? But this is the state of the finest of all seekers because they are continuously contemplating. And then one direction, one statement, one word hits home run because they are in a state of contemplation at all times. Then and there, through my introspective power, I attained that auspicious state and remained in that blissful ocean. After being aware of the conscious state of my mind, I started thinking. That state was wondrous and full of overwhelming bliss. Today, I have attained that state beyond. Now, I maintain it. You see, he entered into a state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When he emerged from the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it's not like the Samadhi was lost. The Samadhi is now Savikalpa Samadhi, wherein you're engaged with the world. You speak, you eat, you dance, you do everything. Yet within Asangoham, 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 Punah Punah, Satchidananda Rupoham, Ahameva Ahamabhyaya. That's your state. And then these were the thoughts that he got after emerging from the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The pleasures available in Brahmaloka, the heavenly kingdom of the Creator, cannot be compared to this bliss of union. Up until now, I've been wasting my time, like a person who does not realize his coffers are filled with treasures and wanders begging. So, this is all Raja Janak's realization after he emerged from Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He's saying, even the Brahmalokas, and that's mother's name, Swatmananda Lavibhuta Brahmadhyananda Santatihi. Not one Brahmalok, not two. Santati is Samuha, the group of all Brahmalokas put together, the bliss that they can give cannot be compared. The joy of union with mother cannot be compared to all of those put together. People are unaware of the blissful joy of Atman. They make great efforts to gratify their senses and do not experience the everlasting bliss that resides within. I do not need to make any effort to gain worldly pleasures. I always remain in a blissful state. If you listen to Swami's lecture on happiness, he starts off with this deep knowledge. Why do people act? Why do we do what we do from morning till evening? Why do we do what we do? Is to attain happiness. If I wake up and I just lay in the bed saying, today I'm not doing anything, I'm just going to lay here. After a while, I'll start feeling dirty. I'll be like, no, I want to feel good. I want to feel clean because that clean feeling gives me a certain amount of joy. So I'll freshen up. Okay, that's it. Now I'm not going to do anything. After a little bit, I'll be hungry. Then I want to eat something. Why? Because the hunger is not creating a good environment within. It's making me sad. All right, let me go cook something. Okay, I'm done cooking. Now I'm not going to do anything. Until when? Until maybe, I'll be like, man, I wonder what's happening in the office. I should just go check. I should just call and see. So you see, all the actions we do it because we want to be happy. We work to have money. Money gives us some amount of financial security. That security in turn gives us joy. So here he is saying, I do not need to make any effort to gain worldly pleasures. I always remain in a blissful state. Does that mean King Janak is now, let this kingdom go to hell? I'm just in my worldly, in my blissful state? No. He's just saying, I do not need to make any effort. See, that's when the karmas are dissolved. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to know. You're just doing what you're doing. Whatever is opening up in front of you, you're just doing it. Not with an intention to attain happiness, but just because you're just doing it as a response to life, as an act of engaging with life. You just do it. What have I? This is Raja Janak thinking. What have I to do with external activities in life? It is like crushing and using the same spices again and again until they no longer have any flavor. Every day I find the same dishes of food, the same kinds of garlands, the court, valuable ornaments, and apsaras, damsels. Even while enjoying these objects, I find their beauty fading. Still, people use them. As sheep follow other sheep, this is constantly going on. Now I hate these objects. Because now that's what Swami says. The one who has gotten access to a deep ocean, what will such a person do with small ponds here and there? Having made this decision, when I wanted to go into meditation, another auspicious thought dawned. You see, he was out there with his beloved, enjoying some drinks, and he heard some words that about ekoham dvitiyam nasti. He heard some words. Instantly, because he was in a state of contemplation, he slipped into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When he emerged out of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, he started blabbering all these things. This is useless, that is useless, this is useless. And then, having made this decision, I wanted to go back into meditation. Another auspicious thought dawned. I started thinking, oh, what has happened to me? I am that self which is full of bliss. I am that. Then what more do I want? What else do I have to achieve? Because remember, he entered Nirvikalp Samadhi. He came out, he started saying all these things, this is useless, that is waste, this is useless. He's like, let me go back into that Nirvikalp Samadhi state. But then another auspicious thought dawned. Give me just a second. Okay. So he started thinking of, oh, what has happened to me? I am that self which is full of bliss. I am that. Then what more do I want? What else do I have to achieve? What have I not already achieved? What is unobtainable? Can we ever attain that which is not attained? My essential nature is everlasting bliss. How can I be engaged in actions? Body, senses, and internal organs are as unreal as dreams. I am the indivisible consciousness. All things belong to me. You see, this is what his realization is now. Where am I running? What am I running away from? Why do I need to plunge back into meditation? I am that self. Everything around me is my own light, the light of the self. Body, senses, and internal organs are as unreal as dreams because in dream, you alone become everything. If you have a dream of a lion attacking you, you have become the lion. You are there. You have become the scene. You have become the attack. You have become the trauma. You have become the suffering. You have become it all. Which is why he's saying body, senses, and internal organs are as unreal as dreams. I am the indivisible consciousness. All things belong to me. And then he goes on to think, what great experience can be attained just by controlling one of these inner instruments? Right? He's saying the body belongs to me, senses, internal organs, all this is nothing but the light of myself. What great experience can be attained just by controlling one of these inner instruments? This way, if I control my mind, what good is that? Now, I am aware that I have many controlled and uncontrolled minds in me. If I have perfect control of all minds, and not my own mind, how will it help me? So he is saying as a king now, I am limitless sky. How is it possible for me to control the limitless? You see, this is again the realization that the self is like that Deepak. And the light of the Deepak, imagine a dark room and you light a Deepak. The light floods the room and you might see all the contents of the room. But it is what he's realizing is it's my light. It's the light of the self that I see everywhere around me. In this way, I am complete unto myself. Why do I need samadhi? I'm full of bliss and more omniscient than the sky. Then how can I do good or bad actions? You see the dualities. He's risen above it. Chideka rasarupini. One continuous existence. Like you cannot divide the light of the Deepak. You cannot divide Chiti, pure Chiti, which is Chideka Rasarupini, the light of the Divine Mother, the light of Lord Shiva, which is nothing but the Divine Mother. Innumerable bodies and souls live by my grace. These are not, he is not saying these things from a standpoint of ahankar. He's just come out of Nirvikalp Samadhi. So when he says my grace, he is speaking as the self, not as the body. Innumerable bodies and souls live by my grace. Isn't that true? Everyone in your world, not the world, in your world, your husband, your children, your whoever that you think are yours, they all live by your grace. Grace of yourself. Because when the self leaves, all of this is gone. And I don't mean to say self leaves, self doesn't leave. So that's what he's come to the conclusion. Innumerable bodies and souls live by my grace. How am I concerned with any action? What have I to do with it? You don't even have to walk. No matter where you walk, it's the same light. You're still the center of the universe. What have I to do with it? Therefore, I have no duty. Neither am I a doer nor a non-doer. Such a beautiful realization. He's saying, I am the sun. This whole world is my light. What have I to do? Where have I to go? I'm not even the doer. I mean, not even the non-doer. I just am. And that's what we say, truth just is. I'm full of bliss. What will I gain from control of my internal states? Whether I'm in samadhi or not, I am the truth. I am omnipresent. You know, there is a Telugu saint, Annamaya. When he realized, he danced. Brahmamokkate, 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 Para Brahmamokkate. Tandananadi, Tandanana Pure, Tandanana Bhala, Tandanana. He couldn't even have words. You see, Tandanana, he's just like a child, dances with gibberish, blabbering. Once he realized, Brahma Mukkate, there is only one Brahman. I am that, I am that. I am full of bliss. What will I gain from the control of my internal states? The state in which my body is, let it be in that state. I remain in full bliss unto myself. I'm fully illumined, perfect and pure. This is Janak Maharaj and his experience. Then he says, the third category of seeker receives the fruit of his austerities in several lifetimes. So you see, he is describing the different types of seekers. The first seeker was his own example. He told us. The third type of seeker, then he goes straight to the third. He says the third type of seeker performs all the austerities for heavenly pleasures. Excuse me. He says, I will do this Anushtan because I want to gain a lot of wealth, or I want to do this Anushtan for this purpose, with some worldly purpose. Such a third category of seeker receives the fruit of his austerities in several lifetimes. The second category of aspirant attains knowledge systematically, listening to the great adepts. Contemplating on that knowledge, they attain the state beyond. And then he goes on to say, why attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi without having its wisdom? Even if a seeker experiences it hundreds of times, it will not liberate him. Therefore, momentary Samadhi attained during the waking state is in vain. So again, he is comparing Nirvikalp Samadhi to this rare gem. You've never seen it. You don't know how it looks like. It could be in front of you. You have no clue that that's what you've been looking for. So he's saying it's important to have that tatastha jnana, or the intellectual knowledge, because at least you know what you're looking for. Absolute knowledge is pure in nature, and this is our essential nature. Knowing this fact under the influence of thoughts and desires, one does not realize it. If all thoughts, imagination, and emotions are completely shunned, that which is self-element will be ever green, ever young, ever free. You see, the only problem is the contents of the mind. Last time we talked about the state of illumination and the state of deliberation. Mind is already flooded with the light of the self, but it is just too cluttered with imagination, mental concepts and constructs, emotions, thoughts. All of these need to be emptied. The knowledge that is experienced during Nirvikalp Samadhi is pure knowledge. It is ever present, unalloyed, free from blemish. How can it be experienced? Now is the best part. We all are going to love this, because this is the shortest cut to self-realization. Everyone's ears are like standing up. Pure consciousness, Raja Janak is saying to Ashtavakra. Pure consciousness is the background on which phenomenal world is seen. Therefore, it must manifest itself with all its purity. It remains unnoticed because it is not distinguished from the phenomena which are displayed by it. If you remove all of this phenomena, it shines like a clear crystal. This is the shortest method of self-realization. So now we know what the shortest method of self-realization is. Constantly remove the worldly when I say remove, it doesn't mean you just start destroying everything around you. Which is why self-realization is also called akashopasana. In a room full of stuff, your sight, you train it to observe the space. Observing the space, drigdrishya, you become the space that holds everything. And then we'll also end up dancing like Raja Janak, that I am that, I am that, I am that. So the shortest cut is, he's saying that the background upon which this phenomenal world is happening continuously. Oh Ashtavakra, pay attention to the background. You are getting lost in the scenes. Pay attention to the seer, the one who is watching. Pay attention to the light of the self that supports the presence of this phenomenal world. This is the shortest way to self-realization. O Brahmin, contemplate on what you have learned and you will realize the self. Then you will receive wisdom, which will bestow eternal happiness on you. Thus, Ashtavakra received instructions from the wise king Janak, paid homage, and bid him farewell. Ashtavakra returned home and attained direct self realization by discrimination, contemplation, and meditation. All his doubts vanished. He became a Jivan Mukta, liberated in the same lifetime. You see, Raja Janak has very clearly given us a shortcut. And the shortcut is don't get lost in the happenings of the world. Continuously remind yourself, I am the pure self. The light of myself illumines everything around me. My world is nothing but the light of myself. Be devoted to yourself either as Divine Mother. That is why detach from the happenings of the world, attach to the Divine Mother. So this was Raja Janak and his experience, how nicely he shared the whole thing, Savikalp Samadhi, Nirvikalp Samadhi, and the grace of the Guru is such that the next chapter is again a review. Then again, this conversation was between Raja Janak and Ashtavakra. Now Dattatreya Ji Maharaj goes on to give the same instructions in more simplified way. He says, Parshuram, let me review everything with you one more time. Let me make it even simpler for you. That's the grace of the Guru. So, if anyone has anything to share, you can unmute now. I'll mute myself. You can even message. Go ahead, Mansi.
Okay, there is one small thing that I wanted to add. It's not in the chapter written explicitly, but when you are in Bhava Samadhi, that also is an expression of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, because the bhav that you're carrying for your Isht, if you would have seen any of the saints, including Swami, when you are completely dissolved in bhav for the Devi or for your Isht, whichever form you have chosen in your Sagun Upasana, even in that bhav, you attain bhava samadhi, because what has happened is the distinction between you, what you are and what you are not, just vanishes. You explode as a charachar awareness that is all existent, all pervading. If you have one tiny bit of this experience, which is easier than doing it directly, the way it is written, I am that, constantly contemplating on the Atman, sometimes tends to become very dry, because as humans, the most precious gift that we have is emotions. We misuse it, that's besides the point. But emotions are gifted for this very reason, that emotions are the vehicle with which you can connect to the self. You may call it the self. That self is none other than the Guru. There is only one Guru, and that Guru is the self. Outside, he may be in a body form, but the pure light, that is Guru, means Guru, the one that is dispelling the darkness, is the light within. To connect to that source within without the help of any means becomes difficult, which is why there are so many other thousand ways of achieving the same thing in as many permutations and combinations you can think of. Uh, Tripura Rahasya is talking of the direct path. You don't go around beating about the bush and then after a big long journey you arrive at the same truth. Is by contemplating and remaining connected to the absolute truth residing within. Connecting it with the Divine Mother, because Mother is your first connection. Mother is the first emotion that you're bonded with. And assigning that form to your bhav makes it much more easier to just dissolve your very existence and explore things. So this is what I wanted to add, and that too, Bhava Samadhi. If you have, I don't know if you've seen that video, or those who have been to the ashram and seen the Sankirtans with Swami, or would have seen Sankirtans with any other enlightened sage who is sthit in Samadhi always, would have seen this, how people who are exalted beings and adepts easily slip into Samadhi with Bhav. Just singing. This is what I wanted to add. Mirabai was one of them. You should slip into Samadhi. Ramakrishna Paramahansa would simply slip into Samadhi. Just a mere one tiny bit of thought of Divine Mother and he would be off into Bhav Samadhi. You would have seen Thakur's images of being, standing on one leg and one of his hands down, one of his hands up in Abhay Mudra. And he's into Samadhi so much so that somebody has to hold him. Otherwise he'll just drop. He would go running towards Ganges, and Saradama would send M behind him, saying that you please catch hold of him, even though he might just drop into Ganges because he's inside Bhav Samadhi. He doesn't know what is and what is not. The other thing I wanted to also mention, that when we are constantly reading this, being detached, being away from the world, being away from desires, it does not mean that you do not do your duties. It does not mean that you become devoid of love, because whatever happens in Samadhi is an expression of the all-pervading love of the Creator. And that Creator sits within, which has given us human form, because this is the highest state of the evolution of the mind that can ever experience this oneness with the divine. It is very easy to get deluded by a textual understanding that may seem to say that when it says that you are to be non-attached, it simply means that you're not getting entangled by the worldly interactions and involvement. You do all of it with absolute involvement, with absolute willingness. But what it brings with it in terms of give and take does not drown your emotions to being misused and wasting the energy there. Energy remains contained, focused one-pointedly on the self. That is what it means. So by no means it is saying that you just, leave everything, be content because I am the Atman. No, none of that. And then the other thing where Raja Janak is saying that I don't have to go seeking for worldly abundance. When you are connected with the source, when you're connected with that which is abundantly existing, these petty worldly abundance fall at your feet, whether you think of it or you don't think of it. The minute you're connected with the source, you're so one with that abundance that all the worldly abundance will come to you. You have to, sometimes not even make a mere thought about it. It will come to your sometimes surprise the way it has come. short um, states of samadhi, whether it be a moment of laughter, whether it be a moment of just doing nothing, you have to actually constantly train yourself to not think anything. Just is, you just are. I mean, it's very difficult to put words to this, but constant practice, yes, will make you firmly established in a non-wavering state. Not get so easily fluid by whatever the external is. Because what worse can happen? At best, the body may fall. Beyond that, nothing worse can happen. So what? The self still is. It will put on a new body if it wishes to still experience something more. But that which is not changing, which is not going away, is just is.
Thanks, Mansi. We heard you. The whole thing.
Yeah, I was wondering whether I was heard, or again I went on to tell all the story to the gods who come to listen.
um, Anyone else? Okay, well, then we will end the session. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat.